have, since Bear was little, have had a lot of alternative ways of raising him that maybe the broader society kind of looked at, like, what are you doing? And I even have seen like an article. It's like all the things that Alicia Silverstone does that are
terrible,
that are so anti, like, not status quo.
I just do I'm a natural mama, and I'm a loving mama, and I believe in love, and I believe in nature. And our society is scared of nature and scared of love. My son's dad, he and I did it together, and because he goes, I love pigs too. So we went vegan, and you're right. Every talk show made fun of me. Every time I did an interview, I was very young, and I thought I hated being famous. So I really used it as an opportunity to just talk about it, but it was not a calculated choice because no one wants to hear about it unless they're asking you about it. And I didn't really recognize that. So they want to talk about Clueless, and I'm talking about anal electrocution of fur. That's not really what they want to hear.
Right.
So it didn't go over very well, I think, for a while. But I think I found a way to understand that you have to fill yourself with joy, and you have to be a healthy, happy person. Otherwise, there was a time where I did every single thing that somebody asked me to do, everything for activism, and I was just left with nothing. And if we're not filled, if our foundation isn't good, then I don't know how we can serve others. And so I have learned that over time.
That was Alicia Silverstone. I laughed a lot in this conversation, probably because we've been friends for a while, so I feel really comfortable with her, but also because she's just so dang funny. Alicia is charming, witty, and has so much wisdom to share while beautifully keeping her passions lighthearted and filled with love and joy. I'm guessing you already know who Alicia is, but in case you don't, she's an actress best known for her iconic role in the hit film Clueless, a movie I diehard loved growing up. She's also a New York Times bestselling author, health advocate, co-creator of My Kind organic supplements, and host of the Real Heal podcast. Definitely tune into her podcast if you haven't already. Alicia is a wonderful mother to her son Bear, and she's boldly and unapologetically shared her passions for natural living since the time she's been in the spotlight, even if it was met with ridicule or laughter. As a longtime vegan, she's published 2 incredible books that were some of the first vegan books of their kind. In The Kind Diet, she shares all the secrets to attaining truly radiant beauty with compassionate and delicious recipes that are kind to our planet and transforms your body from the inside out. And The Kind Mama is a prescription for a healthy, vibrant pregnancy that will help you take charge of your fertility and grow the healthiest, happiest baby while you tap into your own powerful motherly intuition. In this episode, we talk about what it was like for her to be vegan before it was cool and being vegan in Hollywood, her tips for raising healthy kids, the responses she receives from pushing back against the normal and common parenting, what she's most excited about right now, and more. Alicia is happy for people to think what they want about the way she raises her child, even if it raises eyebrows, because her alternative parenting techniques work for her family, which have included co-sleeping, elimination communication, her son's long hair, teaching her son to question everything he's told, raising him vegan, not punishing him, and many more. So sit back and laugh with us as we chat about all the above. Welcome to the Ellen Fisher Podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Alicia. I'm so excited to have you on the show and honored. So I would say thank you for being here, but I'm at your place.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you guys came over and all the little babies are here.
I know.
I want to eat them all.
All of our kids, Bear and our kids, just get along so well. And they just love you because you're just so good with kids. I feel like the way you speak to them, they just feel like you're really listening to them and engaging. So they they can tell a huge difference when someone's not interested, oh, that's a child, I'm not going to talk to them, versus you're a person, I want to talk to you.
Yes, it's true. It's true. They're so sweet. I think we parent very similarly. So it's just another auntie.
Yes. And last time we were here, Scout was just a baby.
Yes.
So you hadn't even met Koufax yet.
No, and I told Scout upstairs, I said, when you were a baby, I got to babysit you. She said, oh,
that's right. Yeah. We did. We went out to dinner.
You did.
Oh, that
but
was so
she
nice.
was a big baby, so it's weird that she's now, she's a little girl.
Yeah.
But she was a big baby.
Yeah, she was.
You know what I mean? So
she was.
It doesn't seem like she's,
how
the time doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because you haven't seen them in 3 years. Yeah. And they stretch out.
They stretch out.
They're getting taller. So funny. Okay, so I first want to ask you, my first burning question is, what was it like to be vegan before it was cool to be vegan? How long have you been vegan? you literally were vegan before it was like where did you even get your books and resources back then? Like your book, The Kind Diet, was like one of the first cool vegan books even out there. And the way that I know that is because I was working at a health food store years ago, and they had like a book section, like a health section, and your book was one of the few vegan books in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like this was like 15 years ago.
Thank you for saying that. That makes me happy. Because it was needed, and that's why I did it. I never do anything. Everything takes too much work. So I would never do anything if it wasn't needed. Do you know what I mean?
That's such a good mantra.
Like, I have no interest in...
Yeah.
I'd much rather just be on vacation and hang out and do my acting here and there. But no, it was needed. So back when I became vegan, what book did I didn't do it because of... I didn't read a book. What happened was I, saw... There was a few things. I had a dog that I fell in love with, Samson, and he would sleep with me. We basically made out. He was like my boyfriend, and he was this big, black, rotty, pitty, labby. I don't know what he was, but he was so beautiful. And I would rub his legs, and I could remember feeling his legs and thinking it felt like a chicken breast. And that connection was sort of, and I thought, well, I bet my thigh tastes good too. It's like, I bet my butt tastes real good.
Thought process.
So that sort of started happening. But the truth is, I was 8 years old when I wanted to go vegan. I was in England with my family and my mom. I'd heard the crying I heard this deep, deep crying. And I asked, what is this, to the farmer? And they said, oh, well, the babies are being taken away from their mothers. And I said, why? And they explained, well, that's how you get milk. And I was 8, so it's hard to kind of process the whole thing. But then I knew that did not sit well with me. Then I got on the airplane flying home from England, because we go for the summers. My brother started making the sound of the lamb that I was eating. And that was my first awareness that lamb was lamb. And this really freaked me out. So I came home and I declared I was going vegetarian. But I was 8, and I really didn't know what I was doing. So my dear dad did buy me a book, but not a book anyone wants to read, like some how to be vegetarian but I was 8, and the book was for like 15-year-olds or an adult. It just wasn't speaking to me. But anyway, so I tried from 8 to 21. I would sort of, what I call flirting in the Kind Diet, is I would go in and out of it, and I'd be vegan or vegetarian. I didn't know about vegan yet. I'd be vegetarian, and then somebody be eating a steak, and I'd have my eye on it because I loved the taste. It wasn't a question of not liking the taste. You gonna eat all that? And they'd be like, no, do you want some? Well, when you're done. I'll eat it when you're done. Yeah. And I'd be the cleanup crew.
It's like the same thing like when you go on a date and you order the salad, but your partner orders the fries, and you're like, I don't want any fries.
Yeah, no.
And then you see it and you're like, you just want a little.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a double.
So I would do that. And then when I was 21, I had a meeting with PETA, and I worked with PETA from 15 to 21. And when I was having this one meeting with them, I was so activated by what I was learning about the pigs and the cows. And I was just, why aren't you doing this? And why aren't you doing that? And, as you do when you want somebody else to take care of everything, and you see it's so righteous, right? Like, this is terrible. It has to stop. What are you doing? Yeah. And as I was driving away, I thought, well, what am I doing? I'm still eating these creatures. So I came home, and my son's dad, my husband at the time, he and I did it together, and because he goes, I love pigs too. So we went vegan, and you're right. Every talk show made fun of me. Every time I did an interview, I made the. It was very young, and I thought I hated being famous. So I really used it as an opportunity to just talk about it, but it was not a calculated choice because no one wants to hear about it unless they're asking you about it. And I didn't really recognize that. So they want to talk about Clueless, and I'm talking about anal electrocution of fur, and that's not really what they want to hear.
Right.
So it didn't go over very well, I think, for a while. And I really started to learn from people like Howard Lyman. And I saw the movie The Witness, which is a great movie about this Brooklyn guy who hated animals, but he fell in love with this girl, or he wanted to get with this girl. So he, by accident, became an animal lover because of her. It's a really good movie. Anyway, these movies and talking to other activists like Howard Lyman, he really inspired me that you have to be the example. You have to wait for people to come to you and ask And boy, that makes it so much easier because then you're not using so much energy everywhere you go. I remember my husband used to be like, can you just go to a party and not talk about your food? Yeah. Can we just, do you have to tell everybody about the horror? And I was like, but it's, to me, everything was rape, murder, fire, like everything. How can we not be screaming this? And I still have that feeling about many different subjects. But I think I found a way to understand that you have to fill yourself with joy and you have to be a healthy, happy person. Otherwise, if you like, there was a time where I did every single thing that somebody asked me to do, everything for activism, and I was just left with nothing. And if we're not filled, if our foundation isn't good, then I don't know how we can serve others. And so I have learned that over time.
Yeah, I think burnout is a real thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can have this fire inside of you to want it for the cause, but then if you're not taking care of yourself and finding balance in that way, like you're not going to last very long.
Exactly.
And then it's not very fruitful either. Because it's true. I think a lot of people experience what you just said, like especially in the beginning when they first learn about the horrors of what's happening in the animal agriculture industry, and they go vegan and they're like, I mean, I definitely had this, and I would go tell people, and I'm like, you guys don't, like, did you know this? Like, don't you want to go vegan now? And they'd be like, nah. And I'm like, what? How? Like I couldn't comprehend it, which is funny though, because then I wasn't relating to how I once wasn't vegan too. Yes. And I actually used to make fun of vegans too when I was in high school. Like, I mean, I didn't really know what it was, but you know, junior high, high school area age, if somebody like mentioned something about being vegetarian or vegan, it was like, oh gosh, those people, not really, you know?
Yeah.
And then look at me today. So, you know, just like being understanding, and then just everyone's on their own journey, and also waiting for people to come to you, because you can't change anyone's mind. Like everyone is going to change their own mind on their own terms.
Yeah.
And you actually push people further away.
I think so. And I mean, there were some people that would tell me, oh, I read this article, we were talking about it, and you go, oh, well, thank God, somebody. But it's also just, I think at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, what happened to me when I went vegan, when I stopped just yelling at everybody about it, was that, you know, my skin changed, my hair changed, my nails changed. I got off my asthma inhaler. I stopped taking allergy shots twice a week. My body slimmed up. All my cystic acne went away. My whites of my eyes got really white. You know, you could not bend my nails anymore. They were so brittle before. So, and I stopped needing to go to the doctor. I stopped needing medication. I stopped needing anything. And that was so powerful. And I think that is something that, you know, when people would say to me, wow, you're glowing, like what's happening with you? And that was really exciting to me, because I didn't know that was what was going to happen. I did it for the animals.
Yeah.
But what happened to me was this incredible health awakening. And I would never have taken my health seriously. I didn't have the self-worth to take my health seriously at that age. I was just much more like, if you're going to tell me that I need to be healthy, you're telling me I'm fat and you can, you know what I mean? That was my reaction. I was 19 and 20 and 21. Like, don't tell me about my body. Don't tell me about my health. Just leave me alone. So it was the animals that saved me, really. And yeah, I think that you asked what it was like before. I think I've withstood a lot of criticism, a lot of mocking. But the cool thing is I always knew. When you know you're doing something that's right, it doesn't really matter ultimately. It can be painful, for sure. It's always painful to put your neck out and but when you know that you are part of something that is part of the solution and not part of the problem, like how can you not want to continue?
Right. And you just know the end. You know the end goal, you know, like it will change over time. You like almost had a deep knowing about it. You're like, oh yeah, well just wait.
Yes.
Because you know that it's the truth.
Yes.
So when did you take you said you didn't have self-worth back then. Like when did you start shifting? Was it at that time when you went vegan? Like I know you saw those results, but when did you start feeling self-worth as like a valuable thing to consider?
I think it was part of the diet. Makes eating clean, healthy food, which also happens to be free of cruelty, you know, the plant-based diet. I think just I think my heart soft. I think there's when you're eating meat, dairy, and sugar and all this stuff. I mean, look, I still eat sugar. I try really hard not to, but I'm not going to say I'm perfect. It still finds its way.
Yeah.
But when that's like just normal, when that's just the way you eat, you know, the way normal people eat all the time. When we went to Legoland recently, and when you are forced to eat the way America usually eats, we ate that way for I think 2 days. I mean, Bear came home and puked, like, you know, and you go, how do people do this on the daily? This is normal. This is just normal. So what's my point? That I think that there's a sort of hardening that happens, or there's gook. There's so much gook inside that needs to be removed. And once that starts happening, that detox process, you can feel your body more. You can feel your heart more. You feel your intuition. I remember people used to say, well, just listen to your body. And I'd be like, listen to my body? How do you listen to your body? But, oh my God, do I listen to my body? And now you start to be able to, everything softens, and you're living in your intuition, you're living in your truth, and you are aligned with your principles. So you're not doing something, because I remember eating animals and still trying to say I was a good person, and still trying to say I was an animal lover. And that was tricky for me from the age 8 to 21, where I would sort of like, but I'm an animal lover and I'm an animal activist and I love animals, but I'm eating them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting. You know, well, just ignore that. Just ignore that. You're still good. You're still good. And so when I was able to go, no, this is wrong, and I'm not going to do it anymore, and stand in that truth, I think that there's clarity that comes with that. And also the power of standing up for yourself. Even though I'm standing up for the animals, I don't think I could have stood up for myself, but I was able to stand up for the animals. And I think that gave me a sense of self, in that it was important that I do that. And then over time, I just started to really learn to take care of myself, and learn that I was important. I was important if in order to help them, I had to take care. So I'm really it's all good karma because of the animals, really. I'm so grateful to them for allowing me to find a way to really, truly love myself and take care of myself, and understand that I'm important too, and I'm an animal too.
Yes.
Right?
All right, guys, are you looking for more plant-based recipes to add into your life and nourish your family? I'm doing a special ebook promotion for my podcast listeners to thank you for all of your support, where you can get any of my ebooks for 15% off with the code podcast. Just go to ellenfisher.com/ebooks and enter the code at checkout to get this deal while it lasts. All 3 of my ebooks are filled with our family's favorite and staple plant-based recipes that are whole foods focused, nourishing, delicious, and satisfying. Many of these recipes we eat on a weekly or even daily basis, and it's filled with the meals that I've found over the years to make my family feel our best, taste incredible, and most of them are quick to whip up in the kitchen too. A family favorite is the vegan lasagna in my Epic Vegan Cravings ebook. And also, you have to make a big batch of home-baked omega granola, which is sure to get eaten within the week. Healthy hummus recipes, and a totally decadent springtime lemon poppy cake layered with strawberry jam and cream cheese frosting made from coconut and lemon zest that the kids love for me to make for their birthdays. The linguine parm and vegan zucchi, which is a chocolate chip skillet cookie topped with the healthiest homemade vanilla ice cream that tastes like it's from a creamery, is to die for. And I love making for family dinner every week the hearty red lentil chili from the Epic Plant-Powered Kid Food ebook. These ebooks are 100% vegan, whole foods focused, gluten-free friendly, and are instant digital downloads that can be read on any smartphone, tablet, or computer. Between all 3 ebooks, I also include practical tips, encouragement, inspiring content, simple swaps to enhance the health of your meals, a 7-day sample meal plan, how to help your children love fruits and vegetables, lunchbox ideas, beginner vegan tips, and more. And I have poured my heart and soul into these books. Between all 3 ebooks, there's over 460 pages of content and vibrant photography, and each recipe is filled with vibrant whole plant foods for health and wellness in both body and mind. Remember to use the code podcast at checkout for 15% off any or all of my ebooks. I hope you enjoy them and feel inspired to get in the kitchen to make healthy, nourishing, plant-based meals. And yeah, the cause and effect, and it's almost like one cause of this, and it's just like a spiral, and it keeps going, and there's so many benefits. I know that I definitely experienced that softening when I first went plant-based. It was for my health, and I had no interest in caring about the animals, at all. Like,
I love that.
At all. Like, literally, I have so many experiences like that. Like, oh, do you care that I'm eating this steak? Like, and I'm like, I literally don't care. Because I was like, this is doing this for me.
My temple.
It was just for me and my temple. Yeah. And then once I watched Gary Yourofsky's speech, The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear, I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No.
You haven't? I was like crying and bawling by the end of it. He's a vegan activist. And just, I couldn't believe that I never considered the animals before.
Yeah.
And And then that's when that activism thing within me was like, I got to tell everybody, because before then it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But I think my heart was softened to that message, but
Yes.
where it wouldn't have been before if I wasn't already eating plant-based.
No, I love those stories. I love when people come to it for their health.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful that you had the worth and the whereabouts to know that you mattered and you could make that choice for yourself and that it was the right choice. And then you softened into a lovey mushy.
Yeah. And it all just fell into place.
Yeah.
For sure. And then learning about the environment and all that. It, later as it just, I originally going, you have this one reason. And then later it's like, wow, it's like so many reasons.
So many reasons.
Because like you said, same with me in regards to my health, taking off, healing so many factors of my inner health, my mindset, and just my body. And so then learning about the animals, I'm like, guys, there's literally no reason not to do this. Why would you not want to? But like you said, it really you have to let people come to you, just be the example. So going back to Hollywood, what has it been like being vegan in Hollywood over the years? You said you got made fun of a lot, articles, whatever. But I love that you've always just like stuck to your guns and just been yourself. And even just the way you describe like how your dog was your boyfriend. Like I feel like you say things like this and then it makes it into the media. Like, look at what Alicia said.
Yeah.
So what's it been like being vegan in Hollywood, especially the way that Hollywood portrays vegans, even though there's actually a lot of people who are vegan in Hollywood, it seems like.
I don't know how Hollywood portrays vegans. My perception is we're very cool right now because Kim Kardashian's vegan, Beyonce's vegan, Jay-Z's vegan. Oh. I mean, we've taken over the world. So I'm not sure that... you probably have a better perception of it than I do.
I don't know if I would. I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know any of those people were vegan.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are vegan, and there's way more than that. And there's ones that are vegan for their health, and they're not talking about it because it's just for their health. And there's ones that care very much about the earth and animals. I know Miley Cyrus is often vegan. I don't know how vegan, but she's pretty veganish. And that's all we need is a bunch of veganish people. We don't need them to all be perfect.
Any steps going in the right direction. But I think my thoughts about vegan in Hollywood is like the way that in movies portrays vegans as like
do they make fun
annoying,
of us?
Making fun of.
Yeah, that's very annoying. I don't like that. Yeah, I remember seeing Saturday Night Live sketches and wanting to call them and be like, you guys, what you're saying is wrong. Like,
but you know what? It's all good and it's supposed to be fun, right? Like there's going to be comedy, right?
Yes,
you have to
for
just
sure.
take things with a grain of
salt. For sure. You do. I think that it's come so far. When I started, really, Jay Leno looked at me like I was an alien, and he was so amused by it. Like, vegan? What? And Letterman would do the same thing. They had their own way of doing it, but both of them, it was a fun sketch for them to talk about how I was this funny little vegan thing, and what is that, and not know how to pronounce it, and no one in the mainstream was saying that word.
I know.
So it was sort of like vegan, like what are you, and trying to explain it to them. And I feel very, very proud that I was able to bring it to the mainstream.
You were so pivotal, actually. I think a lot of people don't even realize how pivotal you were. Like in that, like being like one of the first people making it to where it's getting out that information. Like, oh, there's somebody who's vegan. What is that?
Well, actually, the animal rights conference that happens, they invited me to receive an award because of bringing it to the mainstream. They were like, you are doing this. And then while I was there, I gave this speech and I got booed off the stage by all the animal activists because, not all of them, it was a particular group, but it was a really funny experience. And I thought, you guys, this is where you go wrong, because if I wasn't so committed, you'd lose me. Yeah. Like, take any one of the people, you know, there's a lot of actresses who are vegan for a little bit and then they stop and then they're vegan and they stop. Right? So those ones, if they had shown up at Animal Rights Conference 2000 and got booed off the stage, they would be out.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to be part of this group.
Right? So I was like, what are you guys doing? This is
like, why were they booing you?
They were mad at me because I said in my I decided, and it is obnoxious of me, totally obnoxious, but I also knew what I was talking about, but still. I was trying to say that some tactics didn't work as well as others, that we should really focus on education and kindness and making ourselves more, what's the word? Like accessible and attractive to the other people. Because if we're going out there, and I was talking about sort of throwing blood on people or causing these fusses, that's not, that all they can do is say, well, those crazy people.
Yeah.
And I think certain people in that audience thought I was talking about them, but I was really talking about a different group. And so it was this misunderstanding of of what I was trying to say, but I had to exit the stage, and all of the heads of court came with me to my room to take care of me while all these letters kept flying under the door. It was so weird and funny. And I wish I could. I mean, it's a funny memory from my past that I was in this room with Alex Hershaft, Wayne Pacelli. Who else was in the room with me? Probably Paul Shapiro. Do you know all these people? These are all vegan warriors. But they were all from different, it was like Humane Society of the U.S. And it was, anyway. So we were all in there together, and they were sort of, also Alex Pacheco? I can't remember his last name. But anyway, they were sort of saying, no, it's good what you're saying, and it's okay.
Yeah, that is a very good message.
But it was for some reason being booed. It was so booed that it wasn't a mild boo. It was like, you have to exit the building. and it was by the people that I'm with. So it was very interesting.
Like, you're like, hey, I'm on your side,
I'm on your
guys.
side. I'm just suggesting that we all be, but I'm sure it sounded obnoxious. Who knows? But it was just sort of saying that one way was better than another way. And I do understand that we need all the ways.
But I don't know if we need the dumping like blood on other people way.
Well, what I learned, I don't know.
I think it's okay to have a line.
I think that what I've
totally
learned.
Just snorted right now.
It's okay. It's definitely going to come from me too. I learned over time that some of the ways, while they don't look like they work to us, because from my point was, being a vegan, you're making it hard for me because everywhere I go, I have to fight against this label, right? Everyone wants to say to you, oh, well, PETA sucks. PETA does this. It's like, can you just stop doing that so we can make it easier?
Yeah.
And what I learned with time was that that's not actually, that a lot of what, especially with PETA, for example, they make such change. And they would tell me, well, having a bunch of girls be naked doing a thing gets attention, whereas the article you write for PCRM, if it doesn't have a celebrity attached to it, no one's going to listen. A doctor writing a piece is not going to make it into the thing. So you have to choose, how do we get this message out there? So yes, we do shenanigans to get attention, but we get attention. And its proof is they're not wrong in that when I did a naked wool campaign, and I did a naked and I never am naked in movies, so this was for me a big deal.
That is a big deal.
To show my body was only for the animals. And I did it for PETA for, what was the first one? Just go vegan or go vegetarian, whatever. And they said that just by doing that, the amount of people, or for wool, the amount of people that click in and ask for information is massive. So it has an effect. Meanwhile, everyone's saying ban that video. When I did the Go Vegetarian video, all the news channels wanted to ban this video of me because they were saying it was indecent. And they were saying, because it's really probably because of the meat and dairy industry. They didn't want that message being out there. But unfortunately, for their sake, it got so much more attraction because it was banned. So everyone clicked on it.
Yeah, then they wanted to see it more.
and then not only did they click on it, PETA got people asking for vegetarian pamphlets. So it works.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
Wow, that's interesting. So you see both sides.
I see both sides.
But you make a really valid point that like if your quote unquote side, because the mindset of our like social and cultural need to like be feeling welcomed, like for someone who isn't like as strong of a vegan as you, like if you're like, hey guys, I care about this too, like I want to be part of it, and then you're like getting booed or you're getting all this like you're doing like I don't know,
you
just
did it
mad
wrong.
at you, you're not doing it well enough or whatever, like people are like, I don't want to be part of that group,
right?
I don't want to be labeled at all, and that does happen. Like I know a lot of people who are plant-based and maybe not like quite as like ethical vegan as like others, but they still care about the animals, but they're like, I don't want to be labeled a vegan because I don't want to be associated with that because of things like that you just said. Yeah. So that's why I think you made a pretty valid point. It was probably necessary.
Well, Zach Bush just said to me on my podcast, I said, you're vegan, right, Zach? And he goes, I'm not, I don't like to be called anything. And I said, why? And he goes, because we are bigger than that. We are beings of light. It's like, okay, fair point. But I do happily identify as vegan, even though sometimes I'm not vegan. Sometimes I mess up. I'm still vegan. I will still always be vegan because it is this thing that holds so much, I don't know, I'm so proud of being able to make changes. Like everywhere we go, there's something we can do to make this world better.
Yeah.
And most people are walking around unconscious, just not considering any of those things. And so when we can wake them up to, hey, you could do this. Hey, you could do this. Hey, you could do this. Why wouldn't we want that? And he wants that too.
Yeah.
He just likes to, for himself, he says, yes, I eat plant-based, but I don't call myself anything. And I was like, okay, right.
I see both sides. Like, I actually just recently recorded an episode with this guy named BC Cerna. You would love him. I don't know if you know who he is, but there was a whole section in the podcast when we were talking about labels, and he was saying when you use labels, you limit yourself, you immediately limit yourself to how the person can receive you.
Yeah.
Because they have their own biases and cognitive feelings about the word, and there's so many charged words like Democrat, Republican, like anything Christian, Catholic, Muslim, all these different things, and then vegan, carnivore, like all, and then everyone has their own set of biases based on their own experiences and lenses of what that means.
Yeah.
And then they instantly like judge you, or not even consciously judge you, but subconsciously perceive you in a certain way.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I see that, but I'm the same as you. I'm like, there's certain things that are, to me, I like having a label for. Like, I'm like, I like being called vegan. And when I talk to someone who's like, well, I don't want to be part of that group because then people are going to think I'm like this and I'm not like that. I'm like, well, that's exactly why I'm even more like I'm vegan, to kind of break that stereotype, to be like, look, I'm not like that and I am vegan.
Yep.
So yeah, but there are certain things that's like, I especially think it's not helpful when people put labels on you that you didn't put on yourself.
Yes.
That is the worst, because you're like, I'm not even putting that label on myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that we don't want to be constricted by the thing, because it's, like I said, I'd rather everyone just be trying.
Yeah.
Than not trying it at all because they think they have to be perfect to be in that club. There's no perfect. It's just try.
Yeah.
More and more. Then the earth will thank you. The animals will thank you. The 9 million children and people who die of hunger a year will thank you. And your body will thank you. So I think it's just worth trying as hard as you can.
Yeah. And just do something, anything.
Anything.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something that Colleen Patrick Goudreau talks about. I told you about her.
Yeah.
I did an episode with her. Anyways, okay, next question I want to ask you, moving on a little bit, is what are your like plant-powered kid tips on like raising healthy kids?
Well, what are my tips? I think making delicious food for sure. And also when they're little, I really tried hard when Bear was little not to introduce junk. So there was no, he didn't have sugar for so long, and then he didn't have, chips and things like that. And he was very macrobiotic, and until because now that he's 11, all bets are off. It's harder. So, and I don't mean that he's suddenly eating, but sometimes, like this morning, he said something to me about what he wanted, and I said, he's obsessed with Takis. Do you know about these Takis?
No.
Okay, well, they are total trash. It's, forgive me, Takis, but who cares? They're gross. It's like, oh, I know, and we were at his school thing, and he comes over, he goes, Mommy, look, these Doritos, they have poison in them, because he saw some stuff, and I go, they definitely have poison in them. That's not the poison. It's just, they are disgusting. They are chemicals and nastiness. And he was like, okay, Mommy. But, the point is now he has access to more junk in his life, and he can feel the difference. He knows what it feels like. So I guess what I'm saying is building a great foundation. He was conceived by a vegan, healthy mama. He was breastfed with healthy, nourishing foods, and then his first foods and all of his foods until he was like 3 or 4 were just brown rice, beans, and veggies. And then, when they start to now he's having, I don't know, I give him a lot of choice too. Baby, do you want to have tacos tonight, or do you want to have a stir fry? Now they're both comprised of the same things: beans, rice, and vegetables. So I'm getting what I need, but it's him having a choice of which thing he'd rather have. And I did get told recently I've been making too many stir fries. So like at 11, it's been 11 years, so it's fair.
Yeah, trying to mix it up, Mom.
Trying to mix it up. So, but the stir fries are such a great thing because you can do. I would just do kale, beans, and brown rice, and then he liked garlic in it, and lots of lemon and a little shoyu, and and I make oatmeal for breakfast sometimes, but he's gotten over that one. Now we have a lot of mochi. We have mochi, which is so delicious, and there's a recipe in my book for that. And what else do we have? Avocado on toast, and he's not a big smoothie guy, but Sometimes I try to get a smoothie in him, but
Yeah.
he doesn't really care.
I think the foundation aspect is so key because when they start out on these really nourishing, healthy plant foods, then as they get older and as they're like becoming more autonomous, making their own choices and stuff, they'll, they might dabble, but then they really see the difference and they're like, oh, this, and you can, and education.
Yes.
And being like, look, these are like healthier foods. These are less healthy, more nutritious, more this, and explaining specifically why certain foods have these nutrition within them that's so good for you.
Yes.
And then they gravitate towards that choice for themselves, and it's very empowering because they're like, look, I'm supporting my body. I wish I knew any of that stuff when I was a kid. I had no idea. Yeah. And then by the time I hit puberty and I'm like, whoa, my body's changing and like I can't just eat anything that I want now. No. But I had no foundation to understand like how to eat healthy. Yes. And then that's where the problems arise with like, I remember in high school on our breaks, me and my friend Kesley, we would always share like a Snickers bar and flaming hot Cheetos. And it's like,
exactly.
And I never felt good after. And I was like,
not.
why don't I feel good when I eat this? I don't understand.
Right? I know.
Because I didn't know
we didn't
anything.
Know.
And
That's just how we grew
stop
up.
at Taco Bell on the way home, like all that stuff. So that foundation is so key, I think, and like having lots of healthy foods in the house as the foundation, right? And then they start out that way, and then as they get older, they can make the choices for themselves. But what I've seen, at least with my kids, is that they gravitate towards the healthy foods. Like they, have fun with the snack stuff, and we like to dabble in like the fun processed vegan snacks too. But then they have that, and then they always want to go back to the healthy foods.
Yeah.
We're brought to you today by Anima Mundi Herbals, an apothecary shop specializing in high-potency elixirs, medicinal mushrooms, and collagen boosters, owned and operated by a master herbalist from Costa Rica. Their project educates and supports true fair trade practices, beyond organic farming, education, and small farmers to create remedies that benefit people from all walks of life. I'm obsessed with their happiness powder, which is an energizing and mood-boosting herbal coffee that is caffeine-free and adaptogenic. I like it served warm with plant milk and maple syrup, and it contains key herbal allies that we like to call happy herbs. Other immunity boosters in their shop include black elderberry syrup, mushroom mocha milk, and spirulina, an organic protein-rich mineralizer that tastes delicious in banana mango smoothies. But my favorite items in their shop tend to my feminine and pregnant body: collagen booster face oil, womb tea, which is perfect for pregnancy, and a rose body oil, which is just divine. Anima Mundi uses eco-friendly packaging in recyclable glass or biodegradable bags. I got an awesome discount code for you guys too, so you can enjoy this wonderful brand. Use my code ELLEN15 for 15% off anything at animamundieherbals.com. That's ANIMAMUNDIHERBALS.com.
I think it's really important to recognize that it is our responsibility. I think that I was talking to someone and they were saying, that there was some, that if you put cake in front of children, if you give them sort of a plate of vegan food, or no, any food. If you give them a plate, they weren't talking about veganism. They were talking about just food and kids, and that naturally, if you give them a plate of food and cake at the same time, that the kid's not going to choose the cake. And I was like, you don't have a kid. That is not a true statement. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe when they're 3.
Yeah, it depends on the age.
The
and what they've already been introduced to.
But 5 and on.
Yeah. You put carrot sticks or cake.
Come on.
What do you think they're going to pick?
Even for us, think about us. Of course, if you're having a really good day, you're going to make the right choices. But on a day before your period, if somebody goes, hey, here's some really yummy vegan brownies, you're not going to say no. I mean, at least I'm not.
No, I'm not.
So
I'm never going to say no. I love vegan brownies.
Right? So my point is, come on. We have a responsibility to build this foundation for our children so that they can, I really think, giving them healing, nourishing food on the daily, and yes, playing and letting them go off and have the stuff that we go, oh, I can't believe they're having that.
I know.
That's okay.
You just have to hold it inside. You're just like, oh, everything's fine.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I don't hold it in. I just go, ew, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right. But he knows that I'm not excited about it. But I also let him, because why not? Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I know that they're not. I don't think any of us are fully equipped. Some are, but most people don't have that kind of willpower to make the even to go to bed on time. We all know that if we go to bed at 10:30, we're going to have a way better day the next day. Mm-hmm. But can you put your phone down? Can you stop your work? Can you stop your project? Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. Sometimes you can't. We all have problems with discipline, right? So to expect a little child to be able to do that for themselves and regulate their choices is insanity. Yeah. And you can see it. You see the people who just go let their kids have whatever they want. Well, those kids have really dark circles under their eyes. They're usually quite chubby. They don't feel good, and they're acting up, right? The biggest thing that I can say about feeding your kid the way that you and I have fed our kids is they don't have this. They're regulated. So they feel good inside because they're pooping right.
Yeah.
Because they're sleeping well. Because there isn't all this activation happening. Imagine when your body goes to bed at night and you've had all this horrible food, it's just trying to process it and figure out what to do. So rest is not really happening. And then when they wake up the next day, they've got that hangover from that sleep and all that nasty food. And now they've got to get it up and do it all over again. And so they're just riding this kind of unwellness. And it makes you cranky. If I eat a bunch of junk, I feel cranky too. So I really see that the amazing thing that happens with my baby is he's got this very smooth temperament. He is not activated. He's not having, he doesn't have big spurts of, he's not irrational.
Yeah.
He's not, they talked about the terrible twos and terrible threes. He didn't go through that. He was a very balanced, healthy boy and with tons of energy and tons of strength. So there's no weakness. He's like a wild man, but that wild energy is also grounded in a sort of healthy presence. Yeah. So I just see the proof is always in the pudding and how they are. And I'm so grateful. He hasn't needed medicine and he's 11 years old.
Same with all my kids. None of them have ever needed to go to the hospital for anything.
And you're not holding it back from them.
No, they just haven't needed it.
They're just not needing it.
They haven't needed it.
But people think when we say this that, it's because, you're not giving them medicine when they need it. No, it's because they're not sick.
Yeah.
That's why.
Literally.
They might get a stuffy nose or a tiny cough, but they're still climbing up a tree.
Oh, yeah. Seriously. I know. I totally feel you. And then the long-term benefits for that, because how many of us, since we didn't have healthy foundations once we got older, because we can't blame our parents, they didn't know, right? But when the processed foods came out, there was no information that McDonald's was not optimal, like when I was young, like my parents had no idea. I remember one time actually we were driving through this Burger King after Wild Rivers. And my mom got us burgers. We're like, thanks, Mom. These are so good. And she's like, so-and-so at this place that she knows someone she said, so-and-so doesn't give her kids any fast food. And we're like, what? Oh, my gosh. She's like, I know.
She was so proud.
She's like, so proud. I get you fast food. We're like,
she's the cool
thanks, Mom. And then here I am years later. Like, I can't believe that. And then here I am years later, like, I'm that mom.
Totally.
But the foundation of having, we're going back to, because how many people didn't have that healthy foundation? And then when you get older, you start to experience symptoms and things that happen from how you were raised when you were younger, and so many different factors, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it sets you up for a better success as you get older, after you go through puberty, and you're just less likely to have a problem. This doesn't mean that you're going to be superhuman and you're never going to have anything. Being realistic about your health is so, I think, pivotal. But there's the factor of having a well foundation just sets you up for life.
It does. It really, really does.
Yeah.
I remember witnessing this one actress who was telling me that her kids, nobody slept, that they all had insomnia, that everyone was jacked up, that no one could sleep. She needed to go to sleep camp. Everything was a mess. And I was watching her. Now, granted, we were at a party, so it's not entirely fair, because of course you're going to be indulging at a party. But the kids were shoving cupcake after cupcake in their mouths. And I said, I know we're at a party today, so this makes sense. But have you considered, just as a friendly suggestion, after hearing her for 20 minutes tell me about how sleep deprived she was and her children were and how aggro everything was and she was losing her mind, I said, have you considered just removing some sugar? And she looked at me and she goes, sugar doesn't have anything to do with it. And I just went, okay. So just a suggestion. Just an idea.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of since Bear was little, have had a lot of alternative ways of raising him that maybe the broader society kind of looked at, what are you doing? And I even have seen an article. It's all the things that Alicia Silverstone does that are
terrible,
that are so not status quo. So maybe we can get into a little bit of those, you co-slept and things like that.
Yeah, I just do I'm a natural mama, and I'm a loving mama, and I believe in love, and I believe in nature. And our society is scared of nature and scared of love. And so
that right there, that's the whole podcast.
I think that's it.
That's
they react as if it's okay with women to be naked on the beach. I don't mean naked like on a naked beach. I mean with a string up their bum as a bathing suit and like no bathing suit. That's okay. But a woman can't breastfeed.
That is very interesting.
And I'm just like, what? Why is it okay for women to be sexualized on a beach or in our movies or whatever, and
on a billboard
or in videos, like
magazines,
just
anything?
Yeah, but we can't gently feed our children with the thing that was made to feed them.
It
like,
really
what is wrong with you?
Make any sense? I know that is very weird.
So that's one thing. Then there's all these other cultures and all these other people that do it. The things I'm doing, I'm not inventing. I didn't invent any of it.
You would think
I would love to take credit for all of it, but it's not me. Unfortunately, it's just me following nature.
Yeah.
And sleeping with your children. I mean, if you were in any kind of wild setting where there are animals, if you put your baby over there, your baby's going to get eaten. So it's not ideal for the baby to be over there.
That's how I thought too. Like back when I was first like gonna have Elvis, like the topic of co-sleeping or crib and everything like that. I'm like, but if I was like sleeping outside in a tent, I wouldn't put him in a separate tent.
No.
Like, no way.
No. And their little bodies are designed to have milk they need that milk every 2 hours when they're building up, and when their bellies are so tiny, and it actually makes you sleep so much better. I remember when I first had Bear, I would get up to go breastfeed him. Now, he was still in bed with me, but I would get up. I don't know why. I would just, I was a new mom, so I'd get up. And then one of my friends said, "Why are you doing that? Just roll over."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah."
Oh yeah.
But my boobs aren't quite big enough. I don't think I had the big ones that could kind of get in there as well. But I started, and it does save a lot. And then I would find that you'd be asleep, and you'd be on one side, and then you'd wake up, and you're like, "How did you get on that side?" Because I didn't, But I just think it's delicious. I think being a mom is the most precious, most like unbelievable experience in this world. And it's not for everyone. And, anybody who doesn't want to do it shouldn't do it. But for me, it's so divine. And I wanted to savor every moment of his life. And that's why I wanted to have more, but then my relationship got messed up. And then it was not a great time to bring one in. But I didn't want to have one right away because I was so in love with my Bear. I wanted to squeeze every little moment out of him.
I know.
So it wasn't until he was like 3 that I was ready to make another baby. And then I didn't have a partner. So that's why I don't have 4 babies. But I wouldn't probably want 4 babies, but I would definitely want 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But being
I would not be you, Ellen.
No, I don't think I could do that. But maybe
I feel like
you started a lot younger than I did.
Mom,
I just can't.
I feel like
I'm way older than you.
No, you don't seem older.
Well, I'm way older than you. So you started younger. If I had started younger, I probably would be you. Mm-hmm. I knew that when I was little. I knew I had to wait because I thought if I start, I won't stop. And but my point is that nurturing this little monkey and having him, I just wanted to do what was healthiest for him at every turn. And so every choice I make is either built on instinct or deep research. Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm just not going to do this. There's a book called The Continuum Concept that is so beautifully written about this psychologist who follows these tribes and watches how it's done. And it's really the basis of attachment parenting, because it's when the baby's on your body, in the field, with you at all times, where you can see and hear what they need. They tell you when they need to go to the bathroom. They tell you when they need to eat. They tell you what they need, and you can address it because they're right there.
Yeah.
These children do not grow up needing us. They're not needy. They're not.
I know there's a misconception, a huge misconception with attachment parenting, positive parenting, that it makes your kids needy or insecure.
They're fiercely independent.
It's actually the opposite, because they feel more secure. Yeah, that's at least what I found for sure. And the thing about co-sleeping, another thing to touch on, a lot of people will have this fear because of what maybe the media or other things are telling you, that it's unsafe or whatever, doctors. But a lot of times it's not really showing the balance of both sides. That hey, look, the times when there is something that's unsafe is generally when a mom is either drinking or on medication.
Yes, for sure.
And so, or anyone in the bed.
Yes.
Like, so no one in the bed should be on medication.
Yes.
Like that information. If you are
Yes.
not on medication, altering your state,
Yes.
like you are so aware, even though,
Hyper-aware.
like you said, you are asleep, you sleep so well, but there's something deep in you that is so hyper aware, you would never.
That'll never go away as a mother.
Yeah, it would never go away for sure. And like you said, that you're so obsessed with your baby. Like I just think about little Kovacs, and I'm just obsessed with him. When I look at his little face, I'm just like, you
wanna eat him.
You're just so cute.
Yeah.
It's so true because when I talk to someone who doesn't have any children, sometimes they're like, might be like afraid or nervous while they're holding a baby. And I'm like, but once you give birth, that all goes away. Like, it's like, this is my baby.
Yeah.
And it's like that inner primal.
Yeah.
And it's so natural to just want to do the, like, keeping your baby close and follow your intuition with that.
Well, Bear and I still sleep together.
Wow. Yeah, so that's another thing. Like all the statements.
And I'll be in trouble for saying that, but I don't really care.
You did elimination communication.
Oh, that's
all.
amazing. Elimination communication is the best.
Well, so I never did that. I remember when
You got to do it with your new baby.
I remember you were like, you told last time when
I told
Scout
you
was
last
baby, you're
time.
like, wait, you didn't do that? And I'm like, no.
It's awesome.
I was like, that's too far for me.
Oh no, it's so
but
awesome.
I know you like rave about it. And my sister's just getting into it.
It's so
she's like,
easy.
Tell her. But her baby is older now. Like she was waiting. She waited. He's like, he's older. And so she's like,
It won't work
But
when
he's,
they're older.
but he's actually already showing, because cloth diapers generally help babies like feel their wet earlier. All of our kids like learned to go on the potty like by the time they were 2.
That's great.
Yeah, except for Kofax. We've been, we have too many kids now.
Yeah, you have a lot of kids.
Not too many. We have a lot of kids. And so the ability to like help like senses cues is a little bit harder.
I could see that. But you could just do it every time. So what you could start with is
When they're little.
right when the baby comes out.
Yeah.
Right when that baby comes out, start with, don't put the pressure on yourself of watching his cues. You have 5 children.
Yeah.
For goodness sakes. That's going to be impossible. But what you could do is every time you're done feeding the baby, put the baby over the toilet. And
did you
just go, psst.
And did you just not put diapers on him at all?
So I came to it too late. So if I ever got to have another baby in my life, I would start right away.
I feel like you will.
I started at 6 months, and so you're a little bit late to the game.
Yeah.
But Bear never went poop in a diaper again after 8 months.
Wow.
8 months.
That's amazing.
So what I would do, because he would just grab for the toilet, because he
Yeah.
already knew that that's where you go poop.
Yeah.
And I never had to. This wasn't training.
Yeah.
There was no crying. This was just simply when I was done feeding him, he would go to the bathroom on the toilet. And when he woke up from a nap, he'd go to the toilet. And so those are 2 simple cues, and they happen a lot. Babies wake up a lot, and babies eat a lot.
Yeah.
So if you just practice putting them to the bathroom after that, that will knock out like half your diaper usage. And but no, I didn't, like when we went on an airplane or if he was sleeping, he still had a diaper on.
Right.
Cloth diaper.
Yeah.
But, or I think even when we traveled, we would do real diapers because we couldn't deal with the, traveling with your cloth and then what do you do with them?
Yeah.
So we would use the environmentally kind ones. No, and there was a period of time where I was watching him naked and waiting, like watching the cues. The cues part for me was really fun because I thought that he was flirting with me because he would do this little smile, but that's when he had to pee. But they give you a cue. So once you figure out the cue, but I can understand with 4 coming 5 children, that would be difficult.
But yes. But I might give it a go. I'll let you know. We'll see. Thanks for the tips.
I remember my husband, Christopher, when I first was doing it, I'd be in there and I'd be going, "Ka, ka, ka, ka." And he'd go, "What is this hippie shit you're doing now?" And then I said, "Just try it." And he loved it. He was like, "This works."
That's so funny. Well, a lot of it comes down to the disconnection that we have with our modern society. Everything's so fast and like go, go, go. And, the plastic diapers actually affects their ability to even feel their pee.
Yeah.
And my sister was reading a book and I don't know if this is true, but she read a book and she told me that in the book it explained how in the 50s, back before was it the 1950s? I could be wrong on the decade, but back before like plastic diapers were around, like babies potty trained by the time they were 1.5 years on average, because they were in cloth diapers or because there was like more motivation for the parents to get them because it was more of a pain to wash diapers back then. And then now the average age of the child's potty trained is 3. What a difference.
And it comes with such suffering. I mean, what I really notice is the suffering that people go through, the conversations you hear parents having about like, oh my God, we've been working. It's like it's causing such strife in their household, all because of the convenience of that period of time of having them poo and pee in something that's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What you've done is trained your baby that's where they go.
To sit.
You trained them that.
Yeah.
So how are you going to, now you have to untrain them from that. And that's a hard journey.
That's a bit insightful.
You told them that this is where you go. And so if you tell them that that's where they go, then you have to retrain them to do something else. And that's a struggle.
Yeah.
Because that was a safe place for them since they were a baby.
I've never heard it said like that. Like you trained them to
You did.
be like, this is where you're.
Yeah, because women in other cultures, their babies are like, there's a particular group of women in China who have their babies on their back while they're working.
Yes.
And the babies just go like this. They tighten. And they know that when the babies tighten on the legs that it's time to pee them. And it's not like they go instantly.
Yeah.
They give you, the babies are so well designed. They did it so right. They have there's a period of time. You have a minute because you think it's like you have no time, but it's not. You have from the moment they give you the cue, the or the flirt or whatever it is for you. You have a grace period of about I don't know how long it is, but let's say it's a minute or two.
Yeah.
As long as they know you're on it, you can get them out and they'll go, and it's really beautiful.
That's inspiring. You might have changed my mind about it.
I tried to do it with my dog. I kind of worked on my dog when I rescued Pinto Bean. I was like, now I have to teach him how to do it. And I just set a timer and did the same thing. I was like, okay, every 5 minutes I'm going to take him out to pee because he was a baby. He was 8 weeks. And he had pneumoniya when he came to me. And we weren't sure he was going to live.
Aww.
That's why I took him. But he lived.
Yeah.
Miso soup and brown rice.
Yeah.
And then I would graduate to like 10 minutes and then 15 minutes. And then he's never gone in the house. It was so great. But I learned that through my potty whispering for Bear.
Oh, you're a pro. Another thing that's anti-status quo is kind of like the gentle, respectful parenting, not punishment. You've talked about that before.
Yeah.
You talked about that before, right?
Yeah, I've never had a need. I've never had a need to raise my voice. I mean, there was one time I was in the pool and something little dangerous happened. And I grabbed Bear's little arm. And I just said, you may not do that. And he went, Mommy, why are you yelling at me? I said, baby, I'm not yelling. Wow. He goes, but you're so serious. I said, I am serious.
Wow.
This is serious. We're in a pool and you may not do that.
Yeah.
He goes, okay.
Yeah.
And that was our communication.
Yeah, because it's so true that he's used to your respectful way of speaking to him. So if there was something super serious, you're still being respectful.
I was still
just
respectful.
Being serious. He's like, serious. Whoa, this is serious. But if that's how you're always talking, then it's like a lot of times you have the whole, why do I have to yell at them 10 times? Yeah. They still don't listen to me. Yeah. If that's how you're always talking to them, they're just going to be like, oh, whatever, Mom.
Yeah. I never yell at him and I say sorry a lot.
I do too.
So if I am feeling stressed because, for example, if Bear comes home from school and I'm trying to cook dinner, help him with his homework, the dogs are going crazy, and I've got work calls coming in, or any variation on that above, which can be any given day. If I haven't slept well because I ate crap the night before or whatever, right, or I'm having my period, then I might be a little bit more prickly. Now, I'm still not yelling.
Yeah.
I'm just simply not as available. And I'm sensitive, so I don't like a lot going on at once. So if Bear's talking to me, I want to listen. Mm-hmm. You talked about at the beginning, your kids feeling like I listen to them. Mm-hmm. Like I genuinely, otherwise it's noise, and the noise freaks me out. Mm-hmm. I'm either with you or I want you away. I can't have this sort of chaos. So if Bear's talking to me, and I'm trying to get the dinner ready, I'm sometimes not equipped to do both. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, dinner's never gonna get ready. So I'll just say, Bear, I'm so sorry. Mommy's not able to do both things right now at the same time. Can you write down all the stories you want to tell me? And I can't wait to hear them as soon as I'm done making the dinner.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And it works. Mm-hmm. And then he goes and does his thing. He'll play Legos or he'll work on his school project or he'll be reading or whatever he's doing. And I don't put him on the TV. I do not do media. And and I can do this thing. And sometimes in the process over the years, he's forgotten. There's been times when he was more little and he'd come in and go, but mommy, and I'd go, okay, great. I'm going to write down, what's that story about? Okay, bananas. Great, bananas. We're going to write that one down. And all the stories, because I really want to be available and present. Mm-hmm. It's such precious time. I don't want to lose it. But I also have to make dinner.
Yeah.
So I know that both things have to happen. I want to be available and present, but I have to make dinner. So the choice, right? Yeah. And so we make dinner, and then during dinner, he tells me all the stories, and then at bath time, he tells me all the stories, and then all the stories get out. And I think it's really been amazing. He respects me because I respect him. Mm-hmm. I remember being a kid and being told, you must respect me, and me going, you haven't earned that. Yeah. This is not behavior that earns respect. You're scary. Mm-hmm. You're mean. You're being an awful person, right? So you can't demand it. You shouldn't demand it. Mm-hmm. You should. It should be a gift that they give you because of the way you are with them.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. It's what you embody, and then they naturally want to embody that too.
Yeah,
because you are the example. They're like mirrors for us. How we treat them is how they're going to treat us.
Yeah, and I'm not perfect at it. You know, there are times where that's when the sorry comes in, where I'll feel like a little bit. I just don't like my voice as much. I go, I don't like that. That sounds a little not happy.
Or I'm having a tone, or I'm being short.
I'm being short. And so I'll go sit down with him and I'll just say, Bear, I just want to let you know, Mommy's not feeling good at all right now. And so I'm being I don't like how I sound. And he goes, it's okay, Mommy.
Yeah.
I say, okay, I'm glad you're okay with it. But I just want you to know that Mommy doesn't this isn't my favorite Mommy. This is my not as favorite Mommy, but she'll be back.
Yeah.
He goes, I know.
He knows. Oh, that's so great. I know any time that I do say sorry to my kids, which is a lot because I mess up a lot, it's just you feel they appreciate it so much. They feel so loved and heard.
Yeah.
And
it creates safety.
So much safety.
Because when you grow up in a house where they don't take any responsibility for what they do, and there's no awareness of how their actions affect other people, it's crazy making. You really don't have a sense of what's okay. You don't know it's very difficult to know yourself and to know what's okay. And so when you're giving a child the opportunity to go, oh yeah, it's okay for me to be upset sometimes. It's okay for me to be tired sometimes, I've even had Bear say to me, Mommy, in case I seem a little tired or grumpy, I just feel a little funny right now. And I go, you're perfect. And he's like, okay. But you know, he's
doing what you're doing.
He's doing what I'm doing. He's not feeling his perfect self.
That's so good. Well, he's amazing.
So cute.
You guys are so great together. So just to round out this conversation, what are you working on now? Tell us about your podcast so that my audience can go listen to your podcast. And then also, how's your My Kind organic supplements going? And also, we didn't even really mention what your book is called, The Kind Diet. Maybe just talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the first thing was The Kind Diet. I wrote that a long time ago, and I love this book so much. And there's really delicious food in there because I'm a food snob. So it's not about like boring, gross food. It's delicious. And it's really a book about helping you to make, even if the book is for people, I'm sure most of your audience is probably more on board with us, but let's hope there are some people out there who are not.
Yeah.
This is a book that would help you to just make choices for yourself, and you don't have to go all the way. It's really about, there's a flirting version, there's vegan, and then there's superhero. So it really breaks down sort of how I see food in terms of, these are all the reasons for the earth, for the animals, being kind to yourself, being kind to the animals, being kind to the earth. Did I say that? The animals, your body, all of those things. And so really getting the information, it's just being informed, and then you can make whatever choice you want. You don't have to go full on. You can just dabble in it. You might choose to eliminate one creature and not the other, whatever. But I think it's a book full of great information. And then there's a book, The Kind Mama, that if you're trying to get pregnant and you are having a hard time, it's a definite must read.
It's a beautiful book. You feel it was, and I love how it has you have so many things. It's not just about like what to eat. There's so many things.
Yeah. Well, because I really felt like this is the book I wished I had when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many books, and it's just, I personally think they're all a waste of time to read. You know, there's some that are probably good, but in the majority of the books on the market, the mainstream books, they're just, it's like ridiculous, the information, and it's so unhealthy and unnatural. And so I just, the book really brings you back to primal parenting, trusting your instincts, and knowing, well, I have choices here. If I'm trying, so the book is for if you're trying to get pregnant, it will help boost your fertility. Once you are pregnant, how to not have all that icky, you know, the stuff that people have come to accept as normal, which is not normal, being gassy, bloated, having hemorrhoids, having diabetes, having swollen ankles, being really moody. All of that stuff is not, that's not what happens because you get pregnant. It's not. You don't have to have it that way, you know.
Oh my gosh. Exactly. I feel really, really great when I'm pregnant. I just love how vibrant I feel. I feel really well. My assistant is like, I always forget you're pregnant. Like, you're the least pregnant person I know.
Right?
Yeah, because I just feel so good.
Yes. I had a friend, Lelania, who when she gave birth that night, but she walked into Real Food Daily, this restaurant in LA, and she's vegan and healthy, and her eyes were white, and she was just popping out, happy, glowy, like not in any rush to have this baby. And I just was like, how pregnant are you right now? And she's just floating, you know, goddess-like. And that was my example. You know, I had examples like that around me, and then that's how I was. Christopher would say to people, my wife's pregnant, and they go, oh, is she miserable? Like, oh God, is she just driving you crazy? Does she want that baby out? Say no, none of those things.
I know, I love it. It's such a special time.
It is. So that's the Kind Mama, and it helps you to know what you need and don't need, because they tell you need all this stuff and you don't need very much.
And it's also after baby's born too.
Yeah, it takes you through 6 months. So it's really about thinking about having a baby, then you need to read it, and then it takes you all the way to like about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then My Kind Organics are doing great. They are the first ever non-GMO verified, certified organic, all food-based, no fillers, no binders, just food vitamins. And they continue to do great. And people seem to really be happy that they have them. And people are always telling me stories. Pregnant women tell me about how the prenatals are the only ones that don't make them sick. And I say, that's so good. And then
the kids gummies, the kids love it.
The gummies are so delicious. And then the sprays, it's really hard to get your kids not to spray themselves. They want to spray the B12 nonstop.
They're just spraying their face.
They just love it. Nonstop. It's so cute. But anyway, those are doing great. And I was just really proud to make something that would be healthy for us, because when I was pregnant, my midwife said I should take a prenatal. And I thought, why? Like, first of all, I eat so well. And then also there's nothing clean out there to take. And you would assume if it's a vitamin, it would be clean to take, but they're not if you read the ingredients. So I made one. And then that was what happened.
So you just made it.
I made them. I went and made them. I thought I have to partner with somebody and make these so that I can have them and my friends can have them and everyone can have something clean and healthy that they can feel good about, that is responsibly made with organic farmers. I mean, all the way to the soil and the farmers and everything. It's really good. And then what else? And then
your podcast.
My podcast is called The Real Heal. And I'm really just looking at asking the questions, what is it really going to take for us to heal our bodies, our communities, ourselves, and our planet that we live on? And that's the question I'm sort of asking of all of my guests in all different ways. We have really cool guests like Pinky Cole, who is working to heal food deserts in Atlanta through her Slutty Vegan burger shop, which is so good. And when you go in there, you get such a vibe.
I need to go there.
It's so good.
Where is it?
It's in Atlanta.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. But it's in this community where it's really a food desert, where people have disregarded them, they don't care. And so she's gone in there and created this place, and she's playing pumping music. Everyone in there is her family. They're so happy and spunky. And anyway, it's a great vibe. And then Kevin Smith, who, is this icon for pop culture. He almost died of a crazy heart attack, and how he cured himself with his food, and his daughter did that to him.
Wow.
And he's this happy, vibrant man.
Yeah.
And Mackie Shelton, who is the coach to Serena Williams and Venus Williams. And, well, I think he's Serena's coach, but Venus and Serena are very close as their sisters.
Yeah.
So helping them with their food. And who else is excited? Ed Begley Jr. is so adorable. My dear friend Mary Walden, who's a therapist in Chicago, talks about love and self-love and how we do that, how to make it practical, real change in our lives for healing for ourselves. So it really starts with healing yourself and then healing your children, and it sort of expands as we go on. And talk to Seaspiracies. Ali, that film is so incredible, and really I learned so much I did not know after seeing that. So I'm just having fun learning and talking to people that I admire and sharing this information with people.
Me too. That's why I started a podcast too. I like you want to just sit down and be like, what can I learn from you? What can I be inspired by? Which I definitely feel that way about you. So thanks for all that you do, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I will put a link below for everyone listening or watching to find all of her things, her book, her supplements.
There's a website too, The Kind Life, that kind of
shows it all. Yes, I'll definitely link your podcast too.
Thank you, please.
Yes, okay. All right, thanks everybody for being here, and have a great day.